troops, here we are. It's Easter. We've got our first guest from the United States of America. Guess what? They're living the COVID-19 nightmare as well. I want to take time to introduce Adam from the Wild Child Workshop. If you were ever a kid and you played in the treehouse, I guarantee you never played in a treehouse as good as these. Fantastic product. I looked at it the other day on social media and I was like, I wish I lived in America because I'd want this guy to build me a treehouse. Adam, welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be on.
It's a pleasure for you making time to come on the show. Currently, what time is it where you are?
It's 11:22 a.m.
Brilliant, brilliant. How's things in Corona America?
It's going. It's obviously slowed down, kind of like I'm sure everywhere, but our routines have changed up, that's for sure, and we're just pushing on.
Yeah. So let's talk about the business you're a partner of. How did you get into it, and what's it like when you create these tree houses for children and they see them for the first time? I've got this like West Coast Customs like big reveal and the kids just go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, I started, I guess, one of my longtime friends that I've known since high school came to me last summer.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this for a while, and he's like, man, I'm turning business down. What do you think about becoming a partner, and let's go build some tree houses and playgrounds and go have some fun? I thought about it for a little bit, and December 13th of 2019, I quit my job of 18 and a half years in the corporate world and joined forces with him. And we literally, I haven't worked a day since I started, man. We just go out and play and have fun and enjoy ourselves and try to make these dreams come true for these clients.
Wow. What sort of people are buying tree houses, and what's the sort of price range, or isn't there a price range? Is it down to imagination and budget?
It really is. You know, we do small playhouses that we can put on the back of a truck and ship somewhere.
Wow.
Or we can do larger playgrounds. We did one that you can probably find on Google, Lake Toxaway Nature Park. That's incredible. Yeah, like that was a big one. From there, it really got kind of the momentum going, and once the people in that neighborhood started bringing their kids and grandkids, they started saying, hey, we want something similar to that out here where we're at. So it's just kind of grown since there.
Fair play. Going from the corporate world and a steady job, a steady income, regular holidays to sort of, would you class yourself as self-employed, or are you employed through this new business?
We're self-employed, yeah.
So there's a great conversation. So you come home to your partner, your wife, and you say, you know, the steady income that we have, I'm going to knock that on the head and I'm going to go self-employed.
Yeah.
And you know every year when we, let's start that. That's interesting.
It was definitely a shock to my wife when I came home and said, hey, I'm really considering this. And it's a big leap. You know, you stand out on that ledge and you either got to jump or retreat. So, you know, we decided to jump, and we prepared for it for about 6 months just to make sure that we'll be able to take care of everything. And there, you know, I was driving probably 600 miles a week to work and back before. So, you know, it was very easily a 12-hour day when I left the house to when I came back. So just to give that up and kind of be outside and in nature is a true treat. And then hanging out with one of my best friends and just doing stuff we love. So
that's an amazing thing. 600 miles a week on any commute would be hard. And I wonder what that's done for your sort of long-term mental health, because I believe that this commute, this grind that we all do, where you are in the world, it takes it out of you, doesn't it? It really does take it out of you. It's a horrible thing.
It does.
What was your daily commute? What you sort of talking 100 miles a day sort of thing, 50 there, 50 back?
That's about 60 there, 60 back. So it's like 120.
Right. Oh, wow.
But about an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. So it was some long drives, and the way I go, I live over a mountain, and there's a one way. Like if you get almost to the bottom of the mountain and there's a tree across it, then you got to come back and go through a different town, and there's another 40 minutes on your commute. So it's definitely different. I used to carry around a chainsaw just so I could clear brush sometimes just to get on through there.
Wow.
But I mean, it was, and when I moved back up here to Brevard, North Carolina, probably 7-8 years ago, and started that commute, and there's a price for paradise, and mine just happened to be in little cars, just burning through them about every 2 years, just to go to work and back. But it was definitely a nice change to stop all that. And I had the 3 hours a day to where I finally just told myself, I said, I got 3 hours a day. I can either, listen to something that's inspiring, learn something like books on tape, like the Audible.
Great.
So I started blowing through that and learning probably a little more than my company at the time wanted me to learn, which is we only get one shot at this thing, and to enjoy it. And I wanted to start enjoying it a little bit more than I had been. So.
I think that's a great mindset to have. Is that something you've always had, or is that something you've had to find, or you've got from somewhere else? What would you say?
I think it's just with age, you learn a lot more. And when I was a young kid, you were chasing that next shiny thing. And at this point, I'm not looking for the shiny thing. I want, time here with my family, with my wife, with my friends, and just enjoy it. So it's definitely been a nice change.
I think it's a great point that you make about shiny things. We've become so materialistic, so driven by numbers, likes, follows, YouTube subscribers. Like, it's almost become its own currency. And in a way, I don't want to say I'm glad that COVID-19's come, but I feel like it's a shot. I feel like it's Mother Nature herself saying, you lot, as in you human beings, need to chill your beans because I've had enough of you. Destructive, self-centered, arrogant. I still run the show, and if you don't start treating me better, it's almost like this is our warning shot now. I know we had the Spanish flu 100 years ago, but I feel like, again, we get these things every 100 years or so to sort of keep us in check. And I like the way you said that you used to drive around with a chainsaw in the back of your car, because that's good. That's good planning. If someone did that here in the UK, questions would be asked about why you were driving around with a chainsaw. It's not really something that you should ever have on you. It sounds like you live in a beautiful area. Sort of describe it to us. Is it mountainous?
Oh yeah, we're definitely in the mountains. We're right at the tail end of the Appalachian Trail. So,
amazing!
Yeah.
I know about the Appalachian Trail. What sort of mountains have you got around there? Have you got any? What sort is the biggest sort of mountains you've got?
Mount Mitchell is probably the largest one.
Okay.
I believe it's a little over 5,000 feet. So it's the largest mountain on the East Coast. It's in North Carolina.
Nice. And do you and your wife and your family, do you go out sort of trekking and hiking in the hills and the mountains?
Well, we did until all this kind of went down.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Like, 2 weeks ago, I went down to South Carolina to drop my youngest son off, and it was it was crazy because we passed like North Carolina. They shut down all the parks up here, like all the
Right. National parks.
National parks. You got Pisgah, DuPont. That's right around here, and then you go into South Carolina, and they hadn't done it yet. And there's these little dinky waterfalls that are on the side of the road on a highway, and hundreds of people were parked on the side, like gathered up looking at it. And it's like, you know, this is what we're talking about, guys. That's why we shut down. But, you know, hopefully they'll figure it out.
Well, it's a point, and people sometimes, I don't know, and it might be our arrogance as a race. Sometimes we have to take the hard lesson. Do you know what I'm saying? We have to take the loss and the L to say, oh, hang on a minute, we need to come back from it a bit. But no, it sounds like you live in an amazing part of America. It's somewhere that I've desperately wanted to go all my life and travel. And I know a few people who've gone to America and done the Route 66 and sort of gone around California and all that stuff. Where have you been? Where's a holiday for you? Where would you go?
When I was young, I used to do a lot of snow skiing.
Right.
So I've gone up to West Virginia. I've gone to Utah, Colorado a few times. But I've been kind of everywhere. I've been to Chicago for business, Seattle, LA. But even when you're out, like even on like a vacation or something, nothing's like home. Like when you come home, it's a different part of the world. Like we're really lucky to be in this area. So
yeah, it sounds amazing. We're really lucky in the UK. Obviously, America's a vast place, and the United Kingdom not so. You can probably from where I live, I can probably get to every part of it within 4 hours, 5 hours at a push.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a, do you know what I mean? And it's such a, the UK is a small place, but we have our own beauties as well. I mean, I know you've seen some of the photos that I've put up on LinkedIn before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we talked. I'm, you know, before we started the podcast, I talked about living so close to so many awesome castles. And there's just something about a castle, and I sort of resonate that with what you're doing with these tree houses, because they're just so spectacular. So talk us through initially, how do you get clients? Have you got a great social media team, word of mouth? How do you advertise this thing? Because it seems to me that at the moment you prioritize your spending, don't you? So buying a tree house might be classed as like a luxury thing to do. So how do you market it? I'm interested in market it.
Well, it's really like my partner that I work with on a daily basis. He had maybe 5 repeat clients for the last 10 years.
Right.
So each year they'd get him to come out and they'd collaborate and figure out what they'd want to do. And then from there, you know, he'd start in on it, and it was just kind of word of mouth, and it's kind of continued that way. They don't really know me as far as one of the builders on this team as they do Jesse. Both Jesse Turner and Jesse Morgan. But they really go to them for everything. So it's been spectacular to hop on this and just ride this ship out and seeing what they're bringing to us, because each day we're getting more and more, you know, requests for different things. And we're about, I'd say 8 to 9 months already booked up, just ready to do stuff. Now, depending on how all this kind of pans out, we'll see how it goes. But you know, we're lucky, and really, it's mostly grandparents wanting to do stuff for their grandkids.
Brilliant!
That's really kind of where the market leans. Like, you know, we've got grandkids that come up. We want to build them a spectacular swing set, or, you know, something like, I don't know if the one you saw probably not too long ago on LinkedIn or Instagram, where it's a big net.
Yeah, and that was the one. Yeah, the net. Yeah.
And that was an all custom net. We knotted every single knot on that thing, and then laid the fall net on it. And We ran everything on it, but they originally just wanted a swing set. And
Right.
you know, we could really do something spectacular here if you want us to. And both Jesse Turner and Morgan talked to them about it, and they're like, well, what do you think about doing a big fall net and then a platform, and then we can put multiple swings down here and do some other things? And they're like, you know what, just do it, go for it. And the idea was the way it laid out, they kind of wanted it to look like if limbs had fallen out of a tree,
Yeah,
and then you put something on it. And that's kind of the way we went with it. But I mean, you know, my buddy Jesse Morgan, man, he's probably one of the best people I've ever seen cut things with a chainsaw. Like,
really,
just,
wow,
it's amazing. Like, he's done it so long, and he can grab up anything and just make it into whatever he wants it to. So
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting
wood and make it into like clay.
Wow, it's amazing, isn't it, what some people do with their hands and with certain tools. Would you say there's a skill shortage, sort of the generation maybe is behind you and the generations coming through what we would call college, you call sort of high school and that crossover, but like there's certain trades that are almost, I don't want to say the word dying out, but things aren't as fashionable anymore. People want to be bloggers and YouTube creators and podcast hosts, and you know, those are great technical skills for technical era, but the skills that you have to be able to build something out of wood is what I class as like a life skill, more so than being able to create a good YouTube. Do you take people on as an apprentice and sort of thinking about the future, and where's that at in the business?
As far as taking like on an apprentice?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah. So sort of, we have a lot of skill shortage in labour, construction, conventional jobs that I suppose what would have been a man's job,
Right.
maybe 10, 20 years ago, they're now struggling to fill. And even such as the military has changed the way it recruits to catch people to join the military. And I feel like the construction companies are doing that now as well. And I feel like every industry has to evolve. So eventually, you know, being a carpenter, you'll have to evolve the way you bring people into a business. And I'm just wondering, is that something you've tackled now or thinking about tackling down the line?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I hope we were able to grow in such a way that we can bring on, you know, some people to kind of show them some things that we're doing. And I mean, really the big thing about, like, you know, like I was telling you earlier, my father, he was a carpenter for 30 something years. What we're doing is unconventional, you know, carpentry. Like there's no book, there's no directions on how this goes together. It's just, how creative can you get and how well you can solve problems. And that's something that I've always enjoyed, is just give me a problem and hopefully we can come up with a solution that, you know, it works for everybody and everybody's happy with it. That's the biggest thing. It's just problem solving.
Yeah, I feel like there should be a TV show, like, because they've done they've done sort of similar stuff, haven't they? Where they've got like Shark Tank, where they make fish tanks, and then people make cakes, and then obviously I think the original one was sort of West Coast Customs, where they took bog standard cars and then turned them into sort of something really, really special. And I feel like when people see what you guys are doing, I mean, I've been blown away with the stuff that I've seen. And one thing I've sort of noticed is culture sort of follows culture. Now, Halloween in the UK, it's not really that big, but we've definitely looked at the American model and gone, actually, we should be doing more, because it is a great spectacle. And every year, more and more places all of a sudden are running Halloween themed parties, or a street will really go to town on decorating the street, and will really become a thing. And it's the same with prom. You know, prom has only been a thing in the UK for 5 years, So
Yeah.
the treehouse thing, who knows? You guys could import it into the UK and be the top treehouse people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we could do it. Would love to.
Yeah. What sort of challenges do you face when building something like this? Because someone has an idea and someone has to deliver a plan, and sometimes those two things aren't the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, really, some of like our biggest challenges here recently, like with that one little treehouse that I just
Yeah.
put up.
Yeah.
We were 100 yards from the truck. Like we had to carry all that stuff down by hand.
Handball. Mm-hmm.
And there was some big locust beams that we carried down there, and some big glue lambs, and they luckily the owner, he had built us a little small trail so we wouldn't break an ankle going through the woods.
Wow.
But I mean, that's just things like that, and kind of, you know, as you get there, talking with with Jesse, and just saying, all right, what's our next step? And my whole goal is, I know like he has everything kind of lined up in his mind, like how this should go down. So I treat it like he's a surgeon and I'm just a nurse, like just make sure he's set up for the next thing. And if you can do that as far as speed and making sure that you've got the answer for him before he asks the question, then you guys can fly through. Like, and we really have, as long as it's not raining, we can fly through some stuff.
Really? And do you have to sort of do you treat the wood in any way? I mean, what's the sort of shelf life on a tree house? Like maybe it's 50 years, 100 years, depending.
Yeah, depending on what they do with it. We like to use like a black locust wood.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like an East Coast all natural pressure treated wood.
Yeah.
It's comparable to pressure treated, but the thing that we try to pull and push to like our customers is, we really want to use this locust because we know it's all natural. There's not a bunch of arsenic and whatever else is in these pressure treated pieces of wood that they don't even know what's doing to us right now. So the more that you can keep your kids' hands off of stuff like that and have an all natural wood, the better off you're going to be. So we really try to have it as natural as possible. Like normally, like on platforms and stuff like that, you're going to have to use some pressure treated wood because it's available, and it'd take us a week to cut all that out of locust. So it just depends on what the customer wants too.
Do you fell your own trees, or is there somewhere like a timber merchant where you collect your wood from? How does that work?
We do a little bit of both.
Right.
If we have a big order, then we'll call some of our local guys that help us, that go do a lot of tree work. And we had a big order for a landscape company a couple months ago. They wanted, I think, 1,200 board feet of locust wood, and we just got one of our top performers, and he got out there and got it to us within a month or so. So it's just, depending on what they're wanting, and they wanted it for fence material, so it can only be certain size.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of it. So, finding that wood's another difficult thing. But so these guys that, work these trees, they know where it's at. They kind of just make a little self note in the back of their mind, hey, I might be able to get that for them later on, and then they can go back to it. So.
I wonder, obviously, how is it working at the moment? Obviously, COVID-19, everyone's sort of locked down. You can fall into the category of, we have this category in the UK of key workers, and it's sort of been explained what a key worker is. I don't know how it works in America, but you probably not going and putting tree houses up isn't classed as key work. But what are you doing? Are you trying to keep yourselves busy as you can in workshops? Have you got your own sort of workshop where you prepare lengths of wood and do cuts and sort of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a big sawmill shop that we built probably the first of the year.
Nice. Oh, wow.
And that's really, we've got two big sawmills set up there, and then a big spot to where we can build different things in there and kind of stage it as we need it. So really, about, I guess, 3 weeks ago, when all this kind of started dropping and everybody really needed to start taking it serious, me and my partner said, hey, let's take 2 weeks off. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you sick. You don't want to get me sick. Like, let's just stay at home and see what happens. And luckily we had just gone to the lumber yard and got enough material where he kind of by himself put some of the pieces together on the treehouse.
Yeah.
So he was able to stay busy. And then of course I didn't really have all that over at my place. So our yard looked awesome because we just had to keep pushing and doing something.
There's something about the smell of fresh cut wood, isn't there? It's a nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a nice thing. What's the sort of? I'm interested because a friend of mine owns a door company in the UK, and it's called the Grand Victorian Doors, and he either revamps a door or he completely makes a door from scratch. And I'll tell you what I'll do, Adam, and after this I'll tag you in some of his stuff on LinkedIn, and you'll be totally blown away because his craftsmanship is second to none, and he's the only guy in the UK who can make doors like that. And I'm always fascinated by it. There's something about a really good craftsman, isn't there, which just makes you stand and just stare and think, how is a human being, like, what a skill to be able to make something like that. What would you say is the greatest thing you've made? Is there anything you've got, like a grand accomplishment somewhere? Do you build your own house?
No, I didn't build my own house. Not yet, but we are thinking about hopefully buying some land and starting to do like a treehouse commune.
Nice.
Right up the road from us.
Nice.
We've got a couple ideas, and if we can do it, I might end up living up in a treehouse someday in the next couple years, which would be fine by me.
Definitely that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I suppose all you need is a strong tree to build it in, and that's it. You're away, off you go.
And what's crazy is these the tabs that we use. They're structurally sound for up to 50,000 pounds.
Wow.
So like the one with the big net, we put 4 of them. So you could have up to 200,000 pounds on top of that, and it never budged.
That's crazy.
So we really like to beef it up and make it to where there's no worry. And the great thing about these tabs are they're essentially like prosthetic arms for trees.
Yeah.
So you drill it in, and then once it starts growing around it, it just says, hey, here's another limb that's inside me. Let's just continue on. So it's really cool.
I know you're busy with work, but we all have to, in our businesses, we all have to find a way to keep busy. And I just wonder, we have sort of housing developments here where people with external skills, like a landscape gardener, will go to a housing company and say, look, instead of just putting a basic lawn in, put it to your customer. You could have a bespoke landscape garden, so when you move into your new home, there's an option to put a proper landscape garden in. I just wondered if you'd ever thought about approaching like a developer and saying, look, they can have this dream house, but as well, we could build a dream, something for the kids. Like, that's real extra, sort of what we call going the extra mile. I wonder if you've ever thought about going down that road.
Well, and really the way we can kind of make everyone happy with that is to find a neighborhood and just have a common area that they want to playground, and then just go crazy on that. That seems to work really well, instead of like individual little playhouses, or a place where all the kids can kind of come together.
And what do you do there? Do you approach, would there be like a communal center that you approach, and then everyone sort of chips in to get it built?
Yep, exactly. Wow. Yeah.
Well, that's great, because you're going for the head of the snake, aren't you? Instead of chasing all the little tails, you're just going straight for the wow. It's a great way to do. It's a great way to do business. How do you find social media? Do you have any competitors?
Like competitors?
Yeah. Do you have anyone sort of? Social media is a great tool for letting people see what you do, but as well, it's also a great tool for letting the competition see what you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and I welcome it. Like, I think everyone should be able to succeed. So if there's
100%.
someone that's doing it, you know, a state away, that's doing the same thing, go for it, man. I think we need to have more of this.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to push everyone to be successful in my eyes. And nobody should say, oh, this is only us. And, you know, I mean, of course there's going to be that, you know,
Yeah,
but as far as my ego, I've got no ego. I know I'm just a human, and, you know, I fail, and it's what you do with it. Do you learn from it, or do you do it again?
I'm gonna have a little bit of a stab in the dark here. I think you listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk.
No, not really.
You
I know
don't?
who he is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because the things that you're saying, that's like his take on life. Do you know what I mean? And I listen to
Really?
people.
Yeah.
Like I ask a certain question, and how they answer it, and that's like a very Gary V thing to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want other people
Yeah.
to win. I have no ego. Like, that's what he's all about. So that guy's everywhere. So on that, working outdoors, it's great. But what do you do sometimes to fill the time? Do you listen to podcasts or audio books, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, usually we'll throw on, like, if we're traveling down to the treehouse, we'll throw on Rogan or listen to Theo Vaughn or, you know, the comedians. We want to laugh, you know,
Yeah.
and just enjoy it.
I know who Theo Vaughn is. I like Theo Vaughn. He's funny.
Yeah,
He's an interesting character. I like the King and the Sting podcast. Him and Brennan Schaub.
Yeah,
I think it's
Brennan.
class. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
It makes me chuckle.
it's great.
Did you just hear the episode when they were talking about the Tiger King? I mean, the whole world's been obsessed with the Tiger King.
Oh yeah, it was that took over. Kind of like the virus, man. I mean, it was insane. But yeah,
it's great. It's great timing for Exotic Joe, because actually the whole world, or the whole Western world, has been off, and everyone on social media from everywhere has been saying, wow, is anybody watching this show on Netflix? It's absolutely crazy. And obviously, I mean, we watched it, and I had a great time. I just can't, it's hard, I suppose, to watch a program like that and think, how can one guy have so many exotic animals and no one's saying, like, how's this been allowed? It's great.
I know. Well, and then what you come to find out, there's multiple ones, like, all over the U.S. Like, I don't know, you know, it's definitely interesting. Give a guy 50 acres, a bunch of tigers, and a little mess, and you can make something spectacular.
And you can make a crazy TV program that's encapsulated the entire. I was saying, I've been saying, I hope they make a movie. I think there's a movie in there, definitely. I think it's just enough crazy to make a movie. And then, I mean, not political point of view, but, you know, when I was listening to the Donald, as he likes to call himself, talking, even he was talking about the Tiger King, and I was like, this is absolutely, this is mental now. And it's like, other people might have just said, I'm not talking about it, but like, he just went on a big mission about the Tiger King, and I was like, I bet he's going to watch it now on Netflix. Do you know what I mean? Like, that sort of character.
Yeah. I'm sure he has.
Yeah, hey, you never know. You could end up building something for Exotic Joe when he gets out. He might hear about you and think, I need something.
Oh yeah.
You don't know how the world's going to work, do you? I mean, the power of social media, the power of the internet. However it worked, well, me and you got connected. Here we are now doing a podcast, half the world away. It's
right.
You know, and just because. I always think out of every bad situation, there is always a good thing comes out of it. So using the Tiger King, for example, his chaotic lifestyle that he led at a certain point has now swung in his favor, because the entire world, can you imagine what sort of, like, he'll probably end up doing a podcast. He'll end up being a TV star, like, so much, everything that he wanted to be, which was famous, he will now get. And it's took a global pandemic for it to happen, but now he'll end up getting what he always wanted, and that was to be famous.
Yeah, and he got it. Unfortunately, he's behind bars while he's famous, so which is what really
Yeah,
sucks.
I think he'll end up getting out.
He probably will. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get enough. What he lacked money, didn't he? And
Yeah.
now he'll probably find he'll end up getting money. He'll be able to get a good sort of defence team, and he'll be able to cut a deal and get his sentence reduced, and then he'll be back out on the streets, and then God knows he'll end up opening another zoo somewhere and have another 1,000 tigers.
Yeah.
But hey, God bless him. He's made me laugh during the COVID-19 crisis. I know that.
Yeah.
I
He's
know that
definitely
for sure.
made everyone laugh.
Yeah, he certainly has. Adam, it's been great chatting with you. I'm going to sort of draw on the close down of the show now, which is the 5 watts. So obviously COVID-19 has forced a lot of us to change our routine. Me being an ex-soldier, routine is something that I must have. Otherwise I'll end up like Exotic Joe, but with cats. Maybe without the meth. Who knows? Anyway, so what does your day look like? Talk us through your routine.
Really just wake up and then ride over to my buddy's house where we load up our tools.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're a 2-man crew, and he's been as safe as I have, so we totally trust each other. So we'll hop in, and you know, we're really lucky because we don't work in an office. Our office is outside, and you get to be outside, fresh air all day long, and from there just get about your day and try to complete as much as you can.
Fair play. I love the outdoors, and I'm really missing it. In fact, today I should have been running a massive sort of 40-mile event across a national park that we have close to me for like a charity organisation, but obviously the old mass gathering things out the window at the moment. So improvise, adapt, and overcome. Second one, what workouts are you doing? I suppose you do quite a labour-intensive job, do you? So maybe you don't need to work out as much.
Well, I would consider my job kind of like, I compare it to like caveman CrossFit. You just grabbing up logs and throwing them around, and you know, we'll grab these locust logs. They're dense, and you know, 8-foot log that's 8 inches around, it can weigh 200 pounds.
Wow!
And especially if you're having to travel down 100 yards from the truck, it's a workout. And I'll do push-ups and stuff in the morning just to kind of get my blood going, get kind of woke up. But other than that, just going to work, that's a workout.
Caveman, I like that. Caveman CrossFit, functional fitness. Yeah. Zombie apocalypse fitness. That is like all time. Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Third one. What have you started? Have you started anything new in the middle of this crisis?
Really just kind of, you're starting a routine. If you do have to go out somewhere, you know, you glove up, you mask up, you've got your hand sanitizer in your truck. As soon as you get in, you strip down, and like if we're wiping down beer at this point just because you don't know, like you wipe down everything. So that's really the newest routine.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and it's one thing that we learned in the army was NBC, which is nuclear, chemical, biological warfare. So like that's how I'm treating it, as every surface is a potential contaminant. So everything I touch, I mean, I've got my hand sanitizer here, but I'm the same, you know, social distance, shoes off in the back garden, and all that good stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like constantly washing clothes, constantly cleaning the house all the time. That's the way you should look at it. Like if you could see with our eyes the virus, no one would ever leave the house, dude. No one would, because you'd be like, holy shit. Because knowledge is power and ignorance is bliss. And because we can't see this virus, we float around. But it's all over us at a lot of times. So that's an interesting one. New routine. What have you stopped doing? Probably
stop going to the store in the evenings. Like, you know, usually go pick up like a 12-pack on the way home. It's like now you go once a week, you load up and just make sure you don't have to go anywhere. Like it's really planning ahead and making sure that you're not having to stop at those gas stations and stop at little places, like bringing you lunch now because you really can't go out anywhere. So
what's your beer, man?
What's that?
What do you drink? What alcohol?
Mostly like Coors Original, the banquet beer. Yeah.
Fair play.
They're light and you can drink more than just one or two and not feel like you need a driver. So, you know, just to relax a little bit. But other than that, not much of anything else.
Fair play. Fair play. Fifth and final one. What's the first thing you're going to do after lockdown?
Oof. You know, I really want to just get back in the woods. Like, I know I'm kind of outdoors, but like to take a trek out and go camping, like with my family, I think that's going to be key. You know, I want to get out there and show them that, you know, we've been missing the nature that we've been locked away from for so long. So hopefully we can get everyone back out.
Yeah, look, we always take everything for granted because we always say next week, I'll do it next week, or I'll go next time. But at the moment, you know, there is no next time because all of us, I think, worldwide, we're definitely looking at a lockdown in the UK until the end of April, definitely.
Yeah.
And even then, I think if we do get sanctions lifted, I think it'll be a sort of a curfew status to monitor it. I really feel like 2020 will be completely almost written off, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I think after it comes back, I would like to see a few things never return. We got unkind. We definitely got unkind. We tore ourselves apart for the last 3 years over Brexit, Remain, Leave, European Union, not European Union. Like we really, really went hammer and tongue at each other. And we missed the real danger that was coming on the horizon because we were too busy just tearing chunks out of each other. And I think it's sort of, maybe it's a similar situation between the Democrats and the Republicans in your world, where they've just got so focused on disliking each other so much that they can miss such a big thing coming over the horizon. And I feel like lessons have to be learned about, you know, political point scoring in times of crisis. I don't think it doesn't help the situation. It doesn't move us forward as a race of people. And we'll either learn from it or otherwise, next time we have a virus or a world war, whatever, there won't be a coming back from it. So, no, it's great. Look, Adam, I really appreciate you've been the first guest from America. And I think it's great what you're doing with these tree houses. I think we have to give kids inspiration and give them a place where they want to be within nature. And as well, I would rather have a kid playing in a treehouse than playing on an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Exactly.
And I think what you're doing there with the stuff that you're doing is definitely, you know, it's creating that imagination, and imagination builds innovators, leaders, and the next generation of great thinkers. So, Adam, tell the world where they can find your business, social media, website, and go for the stars.
Yeah. Well, our website is wildchildworkshop.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook as well, all at Adam Siniard, ADAMSINIARD, at all of those. So I love connecting with people. I love seeing the other people and what they're doing. And, you know, don't be afraid to go out there and fail, make something of yourself, and, you know, just get out there and do something hard, even if it's something that you don't want to do, and learn something right now, because we got this time to we can learn something. And, you know, I hope it inspires someone to go out there and build something, go build a fort, go build something. All we did was we grew up with building forts and playhouses when we were kids, and now we've got tools and stuff and we can actually do it. So we're still kids at heart. We're just playing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. ladies and gentlemen, Adam's been a fantastic guest. Adam, thanks very much for coming on the show, and have a great rest of your Saturday, and have a great.
Absolutely, John. It's been a pleasure, and you guys be safe over there, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, brother.